I like coming to the shopping mall. I know I used to come here a lot about 4 years ago when I was trying to step out and define what kind of future I wanted to have in after my previous job role. One of the places I frequented at that time was the job center. And so I'm going to take a brief walk there. And one of the reasons I do that is to try and relieve some of that experience. In some ways, it was an experience of optimism, and then in other ways, it was desperation at times. So I fluctuated between optimism and desperation. So if you look ahead, this is Crown House, which was the Job Center Plus. I went over to the Job Center. One of the steps I took whilst I was waiting for some positive feedback from my applications for jobs. And so this was in 2013. I went and visited the job center, and then subsequent to that I started working, and in that environment it was a kind of class system, for the safeguards of the government system, the people who gave them advice about benefits and employment, and they kind of felt responsible to ensure people were realistic about their expectations, etc. And I was on the receiving end of that. And there was often this overwhelming sense of, feeling like just because I wasn't in an employment situation at that time, there was this overwhelming sense of being disenfranchised, feeling a little marginalized. And I came back here today to try and tap into the vein of those emotions, just to reconnect with those emotions. Because there's something about being without a predictable source of finance. There's something about being without a predictable source of income that kicks in, that brings out the survival instinct in you, that makes you want to succeed against the odds, that makes you want to do better. For some people, they resign because when you check the bank balance, there is nothing in your account. But for others, when you check the balance and there is nothing in your account, it sort of makes you want to think creatively. It was at that stage I came to the conclusion that our mind is our greatest creator, endowed womb for problem solving. Because faced with little or no predictable income, faced with hardly any immediate insight as to how I was going to come up with solutions to the difficulties I encountered sometimes on a daily basis. I had to draw from my innermost resources. I have to do brainstorming time. I have to just think through situations, because this was after I had thought about situations, I had rehearsed the circumstances, the so-called facts about circumstances, and I seemed to be getting nowhere and seemed to be getting more overwhelmed with the situations I was encountered with. And I realized a pattern that each time I stopped doing that, each time I stopped despairing, and I began to look at a situation not problem-centeredly, but solution-centeredly. Each time I came from a place of empowerment, sure that I'm going to think through the situations, I'm going to find an answer to this challenge, I discovered that again and again and again, I seem to defy my own odds. And so I would end this clip until my next clip with you. This is John.